So you know what the Witch of the Coast said? D&D needs more of something. Emotional damage. And so they gave us Ravenloft, The Horrors Within. And I'm already planning like 3 campaigns for it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I haven't said that in a really long time. But today, we're delving into the new subclasses for Ravenloft, The Horrors Within. So, before we get started, this outfit's really not saying I'm ready for trauma. It's a little bit too cheery, so let me get changed real quick. Better. So, let's get into it. The thing I love about these subclasses is that they feel like they're straight out of a gothic horror novel. Want to channel spooky powers that definitely will have consequences? Covered. Want your backstory to become a gameplay mechanic? Covered. Do you want your DM to look at your character sheet and whisper, "Oh no"? Covered. Let's start with Reanimator. Reanimator is like if you're Frankenstein, but I'm talking about the scientist, not the monster. You have a bunch of new benefits too. Starting at 3rd level, you have Jolt of Life, which is basically somebody says, "Clear!" and they just jolt you with lightning and just make you come back to life. You get new tools, Animator tools, which are basically just alchemist tools, just with a little bit more strange possibilities to come through it. So also at 3rd level, do you remember the movie Frankenweenie? Well, now you can have your own reanimated companion as well. Your little zombie dachshund can even join you in battle now. At 5th level, your companion becomes more powerful. And at 9th level, there are a few traits that it can have. 1, bloated, aka large boy or small boy. It's basically, it also has, and I quote, a death burst. Yeah. Next is Gaunt, which is fast boy, but can also frighten. And last, we have everybody's favorite word, moist, which is wet boy, but can also do acid damage. And at 5th level, you can live your own Sugar Hill dream and raise an army of the dead with Raise Dead. Next is College of Spirit Bards. So you know how Mattel owns Barbies and also Ouija boards? Well, it's kind of like our own Bard bees can use and conjure spirits without having to use that unholy charcuterie board. At level 3, you have Guiding Whispers and Spiritual Focus. So it's basically you give guidance by letting your haunted focus doll give your teammates high fives. You also have Control Channeling and Unleashing a Spirit, which you use your Bardic Inspiration die to roll to see what random spirit you're going to get to conjure. So there are 12 flavors of spirit that you can hopefully not sip from by rolling a d12 to randomly pick which one of the effects you're going to use. I'll go more in depth into those spirits in a different video because we don't want this video to be too long. Level 6 has Power from Beyond, which uses a bard spell slot to help or hurt those around you, while Spiritual Manifestation doubles as a ghost group hug but also a human shield. At level 14, you roll twice to see, depending on your situation, I'll cast for the Friendly Ghost variant to see what effects you'll use for your battle. If the rolls are different, you can pick between those two, but if the roll is the same, you actually get to pick any of the variants that you want. Grave Cleric is if Purgatory was a person. It's kind of like if Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Mentor Joe Gardner from Soul were the same person. At level 3, you have Pool of the Dead and Return to Life. One is more of a attack roll with extra necrotic damage if you do really good, while the other one is Spare the Dying, but it kind of sounds more like an Evanescence song. You also have Path of the Grave, which is where you take your holy symbol and you kind of point it like a witch's finger at a creature and you curse them to have disadvantage on their attack rolls and saving rolls. Next is Sentinel at Death's Door. It is where if you're bloodied or your teammate, you can use this ability to make the attacker do half damage, and even on critical hits, that critical hit cancels out and just is a regular attack roll. Isn't that cool? At level 17, you become a Divine Reaper. You not only have extra power to your necromancy skills, you also have Keeper of Soul. You basically suck up the soul of a deceased enemy, and you get up to twice your cleric level of hit points back. Now onto mine and probably like everybody's new favorite subclass, the Hallow Warden. It's like if druids could transform into my childhood fascination, cryptids. Level 3 comes with Wrath of the Wild, where you can basically pull out fangs, antlers, or have your shadow whip around you and be in its own little world, kind of like Peter Pan. You have Ancient Armor where you gain +1 AC, but the consequences are you feel like you haven't put on lotion in a millennium and you are as hairy as the day you were born. Which isn't that hairy, now that I think about it. Yeah, they just act like you never shaved. You also get opportunity of attack for a creature within 5 feet of you or an ally, which is pretty cool. Last of level 3, yes, this is all just level 3, is Unnerving Aura, which basically you transform like American Werewolf in London, transform into a frightening creature, and then enemies around you have to make a wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, they're frightened. And it has to be like in a 10-foot line of you. Finally, we're at another level, 7th. At level 7, you get a con bonus to your saving rolls equal to your wisdom modifier with a minimum of +1. Also, if you're bloodied while you're attacking in your cryptid form, once per turn you get a number of hit points equal to your wisdom modifier plus a 1d10. At level 11, in your cryptid form, you gain Menacing Aura, which is when a character fails their saving throw. For the Unnerving Aura, remember that? Character cannot regain hit points or take a reaction until it is your next turn. You also get the ability to use Strangling Roots, which is basically where you can use the slow or sap mastery when attacking, but also using another mastery. At level 15, you get Ominous Strikes and Menacing Wrath. Strikes means you get extra damage on creatures that are frightened that are equal to your wisdom modifier. And Wrath means that if you're downed when you're in your cryptid form, that you get to have hit points double to your ranger level. Now onto my most played class, Rogue. They have Phantom. Ghost rogues tend to float through life unseen, leaving a trail of death behind them, literally most times. At level 3, you get double sneak attack, although the second attack is half damaged from your attack roll. So you can use it like so many times. That is if you put a lot of points into your dex modifier. You can also, after a long or short rest, gain the ability to learn a tool or a skill, because like Sixth Sense, a ghost comes and talks to you, and instead of trying to figure out how they were killed, you actually learn about their hyperfixations. A lot more pleasant. Speaking of Sixth Sense, at level 9, ghosts are drawn to you. You also, like Ashniko, become like a trinket girl and acquire 2 soul trinkets. And even if you leave them somewhere and go 30 feet away from it, they will teleport to you. Kind of like how my sister's dogs always find a way to teleport to me if I leave them alone for like 5 seconds. Level 13, you become like Danny Phantom because you become into a spectral form. You can go ghost, walk through walls, disappear, and fly. You're much more unique than the other guys. Plus now with your sneak attacks, you get to do necrotic damage on both creatures you're sneak attacking. And you also get Draw of the Dead, where you can get a spirit token at the beginning of initiative if you do not have one. I can also go back more into spirit tokens a little bit in another video. Next we have Shadow Sorcery, which is, you guessed it, wizards! No, it's sorcerers. Your power comes from a supernatural darkness, and yes, I'm talking about the Sam and Dean kind. At level 3, you have like, you ate a lot of carrots as a kid type of good eyesight. You have dark vision, and you have blind sight. You can also see through your own darkness spells. Plus, if you go down without dying, you can make a charisma saving throw against the DC 5, plus the amount of damage that was just taken. If you succeed, you get an equal amount of your charisma modifier, plus your sorcerer level. Level 6, you get your own little shadowy beast that does your bidding, for only 3 sorcery points. And at level 14, whenever you are in low light or darkness, you can freaking teleport 120 feet to another darkened area that's just as dark and creepy as your PC. Level 18, you become like an invisible force where you can walk through people and walls, as well as like be resistant to anything except for radiant and force damage. And last, we're finally here if you're still with me. We have the undead patron of a warlock. So the patron can be like a vampire, a lich, or some other kind of alive but also unalive thing. At level 3, you get a bonus action to transform into an image of your patron's power, and you can regain hit points or be frightened less or do the frightening. At level 6, your necrotic damage attacks ignore if somebody's resistant to necrotic damage and just hits them. You can also use an additional damage die when you're using a necrotic damage against a creature. You also don't get exhausted anymore. Kind of like the opposite of me when I've been standing here for like 30 minutes describing all this to you. Level 10, you become resistant to necrotic damage, and in your patron power form, you become invincible to it. If you hit 0 hit points and don't die, you perform like a Wanda from Age of Ultron thing and send out a deadly energy blast. Any creature of your choice that isn't aligned from you, with a think 30 feet, must make a Constitution saving throw into your spell DC. And if they fail, they have to take damage of 2d10 plus your charisma modifier, I believe. It was charisma. And half if they succeed on the raw saving throw. Your hit points then gain your level of warlock, but you do take 1 level of exhaustion, which you don't get exhausted anymore, but if you do this, you do get exhausted. Interesting. And lastly, at level 14, your weird little patron power form becomes more powerful. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. You can fly, you can hover, you can pass through objects and people. And the final thing that you can do, we're almost done, guys. When you cast a necrotic or summoning spell, you don't have to use verbal, somatic, or material components unless the material is expensive. Then you still gotta use it. And also things that have to be consumed. If you love gothic horror, tragic heroes, cursed powers, and roleplay opportunities that come up more easily than coping mechanisms, healthy ones at least, Horror Within is worth checking out. And if you're a DM, I'm sorry about all the NPC ideas this book is gonna give you. Check it out. It's coming out real soon. I think tomorrow. If I edit when I'm filming this, it's coming out tomorrow. But yeah, woo! Thanks D&D for sending it to me. Okay, bye guys. I'll hopefully post more long form content later. Bye.